everybody. We are fortunate enough to have Arie Kaplan on today. Arie has written many books, some of your favorite superheroes, some of your favorite musical stars, children's books, graphic novels, comic books,
television scripts,
video games. If it has to be written, Arie's probably written it at one point or another. Arie, welcome. The reason why you're on our show is because I came across this wonderful thing.
That's where we first, got your name.
And I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. As you guys can see, Arie autographed this for me at New York Comic Con.
Right, that's right. We had met in person at New York Comic Con.
And it took us a while to get here, but finally we're here, and we just want to talk to Arie about all of his projects. You have something relating to this coming up soon, correct?
I do. And it's so funny because I was just getting ready for this interview, and I realized something that I should have realized a long time ago. When we were coming up with the title for that book. So, okay, the one that you're talking about, Chad, is a book called Day of Doom, which is an Avengers Little Golden book that's coming out in May. It's coming out May the 5th. So if you celebrate Cinco de Mayo and are a comic book fan and have young children, you'll love that day. That day will be a very, very great day for you.
I'm looking forward to it.
But it's the first Doctor Doom Little Golden book, and it's Doctor Doom, facing off against the Avengers.
Right.
And what's funny about it is it's called Day of Doom. It's not an adaptation of Avengers Doomsday. Avengers Doomsday was originally supposed to come out in the summer of this year. Now it's coming out in December of this year.
Yeah.
So this book was scheduled to come out, around when that movie was originally going to come out. So that's why it was scheduled that way. But obviously, it's not an adaptation of the movie. I just want to be very clear and say that, just so that people aren't expecting.
There's no confusion.
Yeah, just that people aren't expecting it to be like they exactly like that movie. But obviously, what it has in common is that Doctor Doom's facing off against the Avengers. But what's funny is when we were coming up with titles for the book, and I had like this list of titles at the end of the manuscript, and the one that they liked the most was Day of Doom, and I didn't realize at the time. I was like, "Oh right, Day of Doom, Doomsday. That's basically the same thing." How did I not see that until now? Oh right, Doomsday. So it's no coincidence that it has some of the same characters, but
it's not going to hurt sales.
Not going to hurt sales.
No, but you should maybe just let people
think it's
get confused. And
listen, it come out in May. They won't know what the movie is about yet. So there you go.
No, very true.
They won't, but I think they'll know that it's not an adaptation of the movie just because the Little Golden Book is so silly and so obviously written for very, very young children. And not that look, it deals with Doctor Doom tries to levitate Avengers Mansion and capture the Avengers that way. Well, do I wish that Avengers Doomsday was about that? Absolutely, yes, I do.
We all do.
But I'm sure I'll be very happy with the way the movie came out as well. I'm sure I'll be very happy with whatever that film is about.
Yeah. I absolutely love the idea of somebody reading your book, seeing Doomsday, and being like, "That was nothing like the book. That sucked."
That's something like that sort of happened with the prior Avengers Little Golden book that I wrote, which was called, here it is, The Thread of Thanos. And what's funny about that is like people really were expecting it. It came out around the same time as Infinity War, and people would see Infinity War, get this book, and be like, I don't know, does it have Loki dying in it? And it's like, no, it doesn't. I'm sorry to tell you that it doesn't have Loki.
Children, for little kids.
And I also and a couple of years later, I wrote a Loki Little Golden book, and there's still people in the customer reviews of that for the Loki Little Golden book being like, does it end with Loki getting his throat crushed by Thanos? And it's like, no, it does. I know you think you're funny, and this is like the Amazon comment section is like your stage. It's your performance stage now.
Yeah. Make a joke.
That's the way everything's performative now. And so like you basically left that comment so that you can tell your friends on social media. Yeah, and I said nervously like, I hope Loki doesn't get his throat crushed in this. Yes, it's for 5-year-olds. I don't think that happens.
How many have you written? How many Little Golden Books, Marvel ones, have you written?
This point, Marvel ones. Okay, let's go through them. I guess I think this is in order. the Doctor Strange Little Golden Book, which was the first Doctor Strange Little Golden Book, which came out in 2017, I think. And then the following year was the Threat of Thanos. And then there was the Loki Little Golden Book. And then there was the X-Men, the Animated Series Little Golden Book, which is, I think I've got that right here too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
X-Men 97 Little Golden
Oh, very cool.
That's a great one.
Yeah, so it's sort of X-Men, the Animated Series from the 90s, and it's sort of X-Men 97. It's got elements of both.
Yeah.
Certainly the episodes of the show that it calls back, that it has callbacks to, are ones from the 90s animated series. Because again, I wasn't privy when I was writing this a couple of years ago. I really wasn't privy as to what they were coming up with for X-Men 97. Those shows are very much developed under a shroud of secrecy, and you definitely understand why with all the hacks and and cyber attacks and everything that goes on, and leaks and things like that these media companies have to put up with. So I understand why this stuff is done in such a secretive way. They don't want this stuff to leak. But it's got elements of both of those things. And then, of course, there's the Fantastic Four Little Golden Book, which, again, it came out around the same time as the Fantastic Four movie. Right. It's almost exactly the same time. The one with the most recent one, the one with Pedro Pascal, of course. And it doesn't really take place in the world of the movie. It's more an homage to the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby Fantastic Four comics from the 1960s. It's very much a love letter to those first 101 issues of FF. But obviously, if it's drawn in this, or painted rather, in this very sort of mid-century modern kind of art style, it definitely looks it has a look that's not dissimilar. Right, exactly. That's not dissimilar to the FF movie from 2025 as well.
I really enjoyed the book. How did the Marvel Golden Books come about for you? How did these get started?
Here's what happened. When I was in college, I was an intern at Little Golden Books. I was also an intern at Mad Magazine. I was an intern at a couple different places where I ended up working, as a freelance writer afterwards. But with Little Golden Books, what happened was I didn't even approach them about working with them until years and years later. I'm embarrassed to say how many years it was, but it was a long time where one of the people I was interning for in college, Dennis Shealy, was still there after they became a part of Penguin Random House, because Little Golden Books was originally part of Western Publishing. It was part of, which used to publish Gold Key comics and stuff like that in the 50s and 60s. I think it was Gold Key. It was either Dell or Gold Key. I think Western is Gold Key, right?
I think it's Gold Key. Yeah,
I think so. But after they became a part of Penguin Random House, I was like, let me just see if Dennis is still working there. So I emailed him what I assumed his email address might be. I just guessed, and I guessed right, and he wrote me back. And we started meeting up at New York Comic Con, but there weren't any open writing slots at Little Golden Books at the time, because they use a fairly small stable of writers for those books. And I had to basically wait until a slot opened up. 4 years later, when a slot did indeed open up, I got the call. And it was originally, hey, do you want to write a Ghostbusters Little Golden Book, which I had been happy to do as well. But it was for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, and they were afraid of leaks again, so they wanted it to be written in-house by one of the editors, which is I believe what ended up happening. And then as a consolation prize, Dennis, who's the editor, was like, well, sorry, we weren't able to give you that book, but would you like to do another book involving ghosts? It's the Doctor Strange Little Golden Book. And I was like, oh, absolutely, yes. So I just buried myself in Doctor Strange lore, because a lot of these Little Golden Books where they're based on a licensed property, an IP, and you're taking an IP that's fairly adult, and what you're doing is sort of adapting it and reinterpreting it for in a way where preschoolers can understand it when it's being read to them by their parents. What you're also doing is you're assuming that the parents in question are fans of this IP. And so you want to get it right. You want to have it be accurate. You want to do your research. And so even though growing up I was a Doctor Strange fan, and I'd read a ton of Doctor Strange comics, as venture and very, very much a fan of the Marie Severin run, and also the Steve Englehart run, and also, of course, the original Stanley and Steve Ditko comics. Those are so. Ditko had such a quirky drawing style. It was so wonderful and so trippy. And so, just try to bring in elements of all those different things while still making it appropriate for a kid to read it. And so there are a lot of conversations that Des I had to have on the phone where I was like, okay, I know you want me to use simple word choices because it's Little Golden Books, but you have to say the Eye of Agamotto if you're going to do a little, and it's like a 4-syllable word, Agamotto. Can I put that in there? Is it okay? And he's like, yeah, I think we kind of have to. I think you're right. And so there were a lot of conversations like that with like Dormammu and Agamotto. You have to put those words in there or else it doesn't feel like a proper Doctor Strange Little Golden Book, because they're with these IP books that are based on established IP. There are kind of two kinds of them. There are ones where you're telling an original story, like Day of Doom or Threat of Thanos. You're telling an original story featuring these characters, or it's like a Meet the Characters book where you're sort of introducing the friends and foes of these characters to the audience, to the reader. And Doctor Strange was definitely the latter. So again, if you're going to go through the rogues gallery of Doctor Strange, you got to put in Dormammu, or what the hell are you doing if you don't?
Yeah, he's there right from the very beginning. Yeah.
From the very beginning, and he is definitely he's the Lex Luthor or the Professor Moriarty of Doctor Strange, and so you can't not include. It would feel ridiculous not to. So, So those are the kind of conversations you end up having, but it's a lot of fun, and writing them is not dissimilar to writing a comic book, because not only are you writing the text, and a lot of people don't know this, but you're also coming up with the plot and the story structure, and you are writing the art notes for the artist to follow, for the illustrator to follow, as far as what should be on every page. And so in that way, and each page kind of functions as like a comic book panel in a way, in the relationship that the pages have to each other. So in that way, it is kind of like writing a comic book script, where you are also writing the stage directions or the art notes for the artist, for the illustrator.
It's funny to actually answer a question I was going to ask about. I was wondering how you planned out where the sort of what text goes on what page and how does it match with the illustration. So it comes from the writer, and it's not the editor that does that and the artist, or it's the writer who.
Yeah, although the editor can definitely have a lot of notes, and that'll definitely depend. But obviously, that's a part of the process, and I really welcome that part of the process, because generally the editor always has a lot of really great ideas, and it's like, how did I not think of that? That's great, and it's like a way of improving it, because writing is rewriting, as they say, and so that's definitely a part of that process, but. It's a lot of fun. And also the other thing is that all the editors I've worked with at Little Golden Books particularly are huge comic book fans. So whenever they give me something that's very comics friendly like this, we always end up having these very nerdy story meetings where I'm like, wait, we can put this character in. Oh, do we have room for some Doombots? We can put some Doombots in here. I'm not saying whether there are Doombots or not in Day of Doom, but that's just an example.
Right.
Nice.
Now, does Marvel have any impact on these books too? Are any of the stories being run past them
and Disney?
Disney? Absolutely. And I've been told that they like my manuscripts, which is really good. Hopefully, it'll continue to be that way. It's very clear I have a lot of love for these characters, and that comes through. And so, generally, the notes for Marvel have been fairly light, which I take as definitely a compliment. And so, it's been a really fun thing to get to write each one of these.
They're great. It's a great way to introduce kids to comic books, basically, for me. That's how I see it, as you're getting a next generation of comic book fans from these Little Golden Books.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. And it's also a fun challenge, because it's like, how do I present this stuff? How do I break down this concept for kids? That was very much a challenge on just because there's so many of these characters, like the Living Tribunal. How do you explain who that is and what he does in the ways that a small child can understand?
Right.
But, so you'd have to like rewrite the text for those pages to break it down in a simpler and simpler way.
Yeah.
So it still shines through what the original storyteller's intent was in those comics, what that character is meant to be doing, what that character's goals are. What that character's purpose is.
And we love seeing these. We've been to a number of comic shops where they have a child section, and we see these indent sections all the time. Sometimes they're actually on a spinner rack or something, which we always find really cool that, even the littlest member of your family can buy something at the comic book shop and understand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, how we should be getting kids into reading through comic books.
Right. There should be.
That's how I learned how to read. So
me too. Yeah. I think a lot of people have that story. The comic books were really the first thing you read.
That was the first thing
on your own.
And I'm not sure how many comic books now they can read based on the way comic books are right now.
Yeah, I know.
For kids.
Yeah, you need more. We need more for kids.
We need more of these books for them. But you write a lot of other things besides that. Things I know.
Oh, here we go.
That's got to be a big one.
Yeah,
it's a big one. It literally changed my life, changed my career. Did you
get to meet Taylor Swift?
I did not. These are very much unofficial books in that Taylor Swift doesn't sign off on them, and the subjects of the books don't sign off on them. No, it's like these are public figures.
Rodrigo.
I don't know.
Yeah, Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift.
You don't know.
The Olivia Rodrigo one came out last year. The Chapel Roan one actually came out just today.
There you go. You got a Chapel Roan one, huh?
Yeah. And if I thought I had some copies of it, where is it? It should be here. Anyway, I don't.
Kids must go crazy for these. I mean, this one must have been. People must have gone crazy. Huge. You put Taylor Swift's name on anything, and people.
I was really hoping that Ari would have a story that, like, she was in the room, but I wasn't allowed to look at her. Yeah.
No, nothing like that. Although the thing is that, look, because they're public figures, I do have the right to write these books.
Sure, yeah.
And Penguin Random House is able to publish them for that same reason. But the other thing is, I don't talk about anything. Sometimes I'll talk about like controversies in these people's lives, in these different celebrities' lives for the 96 Facts books that are public knowledge. Yeah. But I don't say anything that would be considered like slanderous or anything.
You're not doing any muckraking or anything.
Yeah, no. They're very much. These are very much books that are. The 96 Facts about Beyonce. I'm very proud about that one. How that came out, because I'm a big fan of Beyonce's work anyway, and so that was a lot of fun writing that one.
Yeah.
But, these are very aspirational books. I tell the life story of these different celebrities in the 96 Facts books. And, it's very aspirational in that, like, I can definitely, the idea is that if you're a kid and you have some creative goals in your life, you want to maybe be a singer, a songwriter for a living when you grow up. You want to be an actor, or you want to be a pop star, or an athlete, or an activist, because a lot of the celebrities that I write about are also activists as well for different causes that they believe in. That hopefully this will inspire you. This book will inspire you, and this person's personal journey will inspire you. And Taylor Swift's
all
journey,
from you?
Beyonce's journey.
These come from you, like they're your ideas. Like you say, I want to write Taylor Swift, or is someone coming to you saying, we would like a 96 Facts book about.
It's usually my editor for the 96 Facts books, which is Nick Magliotto, who basically gave me the first two. He was like, "Hey, we need an author to write 96 Facts about Taylor Swift and 96 Facts about Timothée Chalamet." And I was like, "Oh, hell yes, that sounds like a lot of fun." And it was, and they really liked the job that I did on it, so they just kept giving me more and more 96 Facts books to write.
How many have you written?
I have 14 or 15. I think the Chapel Roan one might be the 15th one that's been announced.
Wow. Okay.
Or maybe there are others that have been announced but haven't come out. But I can certainly talk about a couple of the ones that have been announced that haven't come out yet, that are coming out later.
So what's coming up?
What?
96 Facts now? Yeah, 96 Facts about Taylor and Travis, which is, I guess, a sequel to the Taylor Swift one, because it's about Taylor Swift's
I know there are
romance with
there'll be grown women who will buy that.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I absolutely think so. And not only that, there were many grown women and men too, and
possibly football fans,
non-binary people too, who bought the Taylor Swift one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it it's never a shock to me that there's grown adults who buy these books, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think that, you know,
No.
if I was a Swiftie, I'd certainly buy the Taylor Swift one too. Why not? I mean, it's very exhaustively researched. I take great pride in my work on these books, but I'll tell you something else. It's not even just the 96 Facts books that adults buy, because adults buy some of the Little Golden books as well.
He's going
I have mine right here.
I mean, if somebody's a collector of a property, they're going to want everything. They're going to want a complete collection.
Like, I'm buying the Doom book as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, see?
100%.
There's a, and I was very jealous that I didn't get to write this one, but there's a supernatural Little Golden book that comes out later this year. And I was like, oh crazy. My God.
Yeah, because that property's found new life in comics. I think Dynamite has a new series, and all the cast members are coming back for this 5th season of The Boys.
Oh, that's right. They got the guy
Jared
that plays
Padalecki.
Castiel. Yeah.
And what was the name? I can't remember his name. You just said it.
Misha Collins, is it?
Misha Collins might be. I don't know if Misha Collins is, but I know that it's like the 5th season of The Boys is almost a supernatural reunion.
Right.
Yeah. Because Eric Kripke runs that show, and he ran Supernatural. Yeah.
He created the TV version of The Boys.
Yeah.
But you know, and sometimes it's because with Loki, when the Loki Little Golden book came out, there were a surprising number of adults that bought that. I suspect because it's people who have crushes on Tom Hiddleston. I just suspect that from things that they wrote about the book on social media, like things that they said about it, which is fine. You know, I think that's great. Whatever gets you to read this stuff, and also it's like part of the fandom anyway, and it's legitimate part of the fandom.
Sure.
So it's
absolutely,
like, you know, why not? And again, I have so much fun writing these books. Very happy when people actually buy them and take the time to write about them online and to write things about them online. That's always wonderful. You know, I had a Lilo and Stitch children's book that came out last year, which is, I think it was this one, the Galactic Federation Nighttime Handbook, which comes with a Stitch
sleep mask,
and which in the book I explain that the sleep mask is actually the Galactic Federation's newest piece of wearable tech. It's the supreme lateral energized exoskeletal polygonal multifaceted auxiliary sensory kudzoscope, or sleep mask.
Amazing. And so, you know, we have a coworker who would love that. Yeah.
How many books do you write a year, Ari?
I don't know. It varies. As many as I can. Because this is what I do. You know,
that's great.
But it's always, look, I'm always incredibly thankful and grateful to get these writing assignments, and you know, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I'm able to do this and that I'm able to familiarize myself with these different IPs. Like, I had seen when I've written a number of Lilo and Stitch books for Scholastic. And they're like activity books and board books and various kinds of books. Well, so when you write those books, you can't just watch the first Lilo and Stitch movie. You have to watch the sort of straight to video Lilo and Stitch movies from the early 2000s, and the television series, the Saturday morning cartoon animated series from around that time. And of course, these days you also have to watch the live action Lilo and Stitch movie. Although it doesn't take place in the same canon as the old in the same, universe as the old ones. But really those books are about the Lilo and Stitch TV shows and movies from I'd say around, I think it was around 2002 to 2006 or something like that. That's when a lot of the content for that IP was created. But you're really trying to keep it within that world. And whenever I come up with something for one of these books that strays beyond that, I'm very careful to make it feel like something that would happen in Lilo and Stitch universe. So if I'm writing about, Stitch is like coming up with like a diary entry while he's on this other planet doing this mission for the Galactic Federation, I try to make it seem like it's the type of mission and the type of planet that would exist in that world. I'm very careful to do that. And again, Disney seems like they've been pretty happy with what I've done with that IP so far. So that's good.
And so it's not that different from writing comics in a lot of ways, because you're looking at what happens within continuity, within the canon, and trying to push it a little, but not too far, so that it doesn't feel right. Yeah.
You basically, as I see it, one of your jobs when you do something like this, and I've written a lot of comic book scripts for comic books that are based on licensed IP from other media as well.
Yeah.
When you're doing this, you basically have to get a PhD in whatever the IP is.
Yeah.
So you have to completely familiarize yourself with this IP in a way that you know everything about it, and you know what the rules are, because there are often a lot of rules that you have to go by. I've written a few like SpongeBob comic book scripts and things like that, and with SpongeBob, you could never have a story in SpongeBob where SpongeBob and Sandy like have a romantic relationship. It would just be something that would never. So if you did that, it would feel wrong, because it's not something that would ever happen in that show. Whereas you could have like Mr. Krabs and and Mrs. Puff go out on a date, because that's something that's happened on the show, and you've seen those characters have romantic feelings for each other on the show. So you have to stick within. Again, those are the rules. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
are there any characters you haven't written about yet that you would like to? Because it sounds like you've written about so many. You've really covered all of. Some of the big characters and real life people. Who would be at the top of your list right now if you could write your own book? You could pick the character. You could pick what you're writing about. Who would it be?
Deadpool would be one. Booster Gold would be another.
A Deadpool Little Golden Book?
That would be
in comics, but also But also, I think you could do a Deadpool Little.
Look,
if you can do a Jurassic Park Little Golden Book, which I wrote the first one of those too.
Oh, okay, cool.
And if you can write an Alien Little Golden Book, which I did not write, or a Buffy the Vampire Slayer Little Golden Book, which I also did not write, or Supernatural one, which again I didn't write, but those are very adult IPs,
right?
And if you can sort of boil those down to adapt them for the world of Little Golden Book, I say absolutely you can do Deadpool. I think there's definitely a way to do it, especially since it's such a funny character.
Yeah, that you could make
silly character,
and kids love him. Kids love Deadpool.
Yeah, and you can not only they absolutely do, but also he likes chimichangas, and he stands up. You know what I mean? He
loves
talks
unicorns
directly to the audience. There's like a lot of things that like he's kind of. I think it was Gail Simone a while back that said that he's very Bugs Bunny like character.
Yeah.
And I think you'd kind of lean into the Bugs Bunny elements of that character. No, but I meant, and I'd love to write a Deadpool Little Golden Book if I was offered.
But you meant comics.
But I did mean comics, and I'd certainly love to do that. But like a lot of the funnier characters in comics, I think I'd like to take a crack at those characters. Blue Devil, maybe Ambush Bug, Blue Beetle, any of the various Blue Beetles.
Yeah, the funny ones.
Yeah, Zatanna, Vixen.
Very underrated character.
What?
Zatanna, very underrated character.
Such an underrated character. Yeah. That's another. That's something else where my daughter and I always have these arguments as to what's Zatanna's best costume, because we both think
that's a good.
We both think
argument.
The classic one from like the last 25 years, where she's got like the top hat and tails, and
fishnets.
It's a very classic magician's costume, which I think is really cool. You kind of can't go wrong with that. But I also like the 80s one where she's got the scorpion on her head. Whatever that bug is that's on her head.
More like my sorceress.
My daughter hates it. She hates that costume, and it's like. But the thing is, it's such an 80s aesthetic. It's such an aesthetic that only could have existed in that decade. And I think that's what she's responding to. You know what I mean? What I'm responding to.
What you like is that 80s. That's George Perez, right? George Perez designed that costume, I believe.
Either him or Paris Cullins. I don't remember which. Was it George Perez?
The reason why I say George Perez is because they did a whole bunch of George Perez covers recently, variant covers.
Oh, those were the ones where his figure studies.
I believe that was the
I only have a few of them. I have a couple of those.
I believe the Zatanna one was that one.
Those are really cool.
It was a great cover. Yeah. But those are some good characters. Let's talk about this.
What is this?
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
So this must have taken you a long time to research. Because
Yeah,
you go
some
through
of the
a lot
hardest.
of things.
Yeah, it's some of the hardest research that I've ever done, simply because, and this is sort of explained in, the wedding cake.
Yeah, it's very interesting topics throughout a whole bunch of different cultures, and this must have taken you a long time to do.
It did. And so a couple of things about that book. First of all, so yes, the Encyclopedia of Curious Rituals and Superstitions came out over the summer from Quarto, and it's on sale now. And I'm very proud of that
Where
book.
would you recommend people go if they want to buy this or any of your other books? Where do you recommend that they go?
The Quarto website, or Amazon, Barnes & Noble's website, bookshop.org is also a good place to look.
Just look up Arie Kaplan and buy his whole catalog.
Sure. Yeah. I do not have a problem with that. But that book, so with that book, I was trying to do a couple of things, and I think I succeeded. One of those things is just talk about how a lot of the rituals and customs in our everyday lives that we don't even think are superstitions either are superstitions or evolved from superstitions. So everything from birthday cakes to wedding veils to, a lot of Christmas and New Year's rituals, Thanksgiving, breaking the wishbone, so many things. The idea that the devil is 666, like a lot of our imagery that we associate with different things that we have in our everyday lives, it comes from superstitions. So much of it does, and also where that comes from psychologically. What need do superstitions fill in communities, and what itch do they scratch for us psychologically? So I did a lot of research on that, and also I wanted to make it a book that was much more diverse in terms of the types of superstitions that it discussed, and more diverse than many other books on the subject, because a lot of books on the subject are very Eurocentric specifically. And it's very easy to fall into that trap, because a lot of what we know conclusively about superstitions here in the Western world, a lot of it comes from like the United Kingdom or Ireland or places like in that general area. It comes from a lot of European places, but that leaves like so much of the rest of the world as as a question mark. Right. And so I tried to deal with a lot of Asian and African superstitions as well, and ones that different communities all over the world have in common. And a lot of what I found and what I came up with was very, very surprising. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm really proud of the book. I think that it fulfills a very big need. And it's something that like is so relevant to our everyday lives, because it's almost every day I come up against something that, oh, right, that's a superstition. Or like, if I better do this way instead of this way, because it's lucky this way. And it's like, oh, where did that thought come? That's now I'm doing this as
you pitched this, or this was your idea?
This is something that Quarto came to me with.
Cool.
That they were one of the first in-person meetings that I had, I guess, in like the latter days of the pandemic, and we were trying to find a project to work on together. Originally, actually, they wanted me to write. This was right before the pandemic. I had met with them, with a different editor there who's no longer there, and they wanted me to write a Deadpool book. Again, because I'm a TV comedy writer, and a lot of the comic book scripts that I've written are for humor comics, and so they thought I'd be good at that. But then also that one had to be written in house for a very specific reason. And it was eventually it came out, and it was written in house by one of the editors. But and then a while later, I reconnected with the folks at Quarto, and we were trying to find something for me to do with them. And then I got assigned this book called the Encyclopedia of Epic Myths and Legends, which I did, and they liked the work I did on that, so they gave me the Superstitions book. And there's a little bit of crossover. Both books talk about vampires and vampire folklore, because almost every society on Earth has a vampire myth or vampire superstitions. And also, you might not know this, but it is widely thought among anthropologists and historians and folklorists that the Count from Sesame Street is based on a superstition. Because do you guys know this?
No.
No, I
Because
mean, I know he's a vampire.
I know.
Yes, I mentioned this
Vampire.
very brief. I think I mentioned this very briefly in the book. I think it made it into the final cut.
Oh, wait.
But,
I think I know. Okay, go. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think I know where you're
basically,
going.
that's in some European communities. You're supposed to sprinkle. If you think you're being chased by a vampire, you think that a vampire's after you. You sprinkle rice on the grains of rice on the floor or seeds, and then
Yes,
the
yes,
vampire will be spellbound by these and will be distracted and be forced to count them.
Yes.
And then while the vampire's counting the grains or the seeds, then you can then make your getaway. And it's weird
I
because
have read that somewhere. Yeah.
yeah, and where a lot of this vampire folklore comes from, honestly, is that
Right.
a lot of these superstitions and myths involving vampires largely come from the fact that modern medical science is a very recent thing,
Yeah.
and that in a lot of the communities where these specific types of myths came from, they would sometimes bury people while they were still alive. Or if you had a blood disease like porphyria, they would think that you were a vampire, because they would have similar symptoms. You know what I mean? And so that's where a lot of this comes from. And you realize that a lot of it comes from places that are like, well, if you didn't know any better, you know what I mean? If you buried someone that seemed dead but wasn't dead and had a pulse, and then the person was like banging away from inside the coffin, you would think, oh my God, that person's come back to life. That he's the undead. He's a vampire, you know? So,
and then you would kill him.
Yeah.
And then you
would kill him.
It'd stake him through the heart.
Yes. Humanity. So wonderful.
Do you say no
Human
to
race.
Do you say
Always
no
the
to
best.
any project? Do you say
What?
no to anything? Do you say no to any projects? Like
I do. I would say no to, I know it sounds like I don't, but I do.
it sounds like you really just love. I mean, we've spoken to many comic book writers over the last 2 years. Many. It seems like you love writing more than anyone that we have ever spoken to.
Yeah, because you do so many different things, so diverse.
And it seems like you love research too. Like that's a big part of what you're doing is you're researching everything you do, and you definitely stand out amongst all of the people we've interviewed that you love just the art of writing.
Yes. Well, I see. I can't. It's a big sticking point to me. It's a big pet peeve for me when I'm like either watching a YouTube video that purports to be like the YouTuber is someone that says they do a lot of research on a specific subject. Like, let's say it's on the history of the Star Wars movies, and they get like some facts wrong, and I'll be like, it just drives me nuts.
Same here.
Because it's so easy to research that. That's one of the most written about franchises, movie franchises. And like almost every line in New Hope is like, is this quotable soundbite that like everyone, at least everyone in the geek community knows, and some people who aren't geeks know. At least they know, like, you know, use the Force, Luke, and certain other things.
The major ones.
They know.
But I agree
Luke.
with that. That drives me crazy too. And for me specifically, when you have someone who's much younger, a person in their 20s or and they're talking about that and they make a mistake, and I'm like, wait, no, I was there when that movie came out. I was in the movie theater.
Or they'll make a mistake because they lack a certain context, and it's like, I'm sorry, but that's not always a great excuse, because I'll write about stuff. I wasn't around when Citizen Kane came out.
No,
but I know a ton of things about the making of Citizen Kane that you know, it's a good idea also to steep yourself in like history and the history of world history and you know, socioeconomic history, political history, things like that. And I don't know enough to be like an economist or a politician or anything like, or a political, you know, history professor or anything like that. But just to know a few things,
Right.
Know
so that you're not wildly
know when
wrong.
World War I happened. You know what I mean? Know what caused the Great Depression. But it also affects the different writing projects that I worked, like the fictional ones, like the you know, a lot of the video game scripts that I've written and the story Bibles that I've written for the gaming industry, for video game companies. Like if I'm creating some sort of a dystopia, a futuristic dystopia, and you know, I want to chart the breakdown of the society and come up with like a timeline, because often part of the story Bible for some of these video games that I work on. If it's like an original story, I'll have to sort of chart the breakdown of this society and how things went to hell and why things went to hell. And you study why things went to hell in the real world. You study why the Great Depression happened. You study why this happened. You study why that, you know what I mean? Why different empires crumbled, why the Egyptian Empire crumbled. Why is the Egyptian Empire no longer a thing? Why is the Roman Empire no longer a thing? What was the downfall of these civilizations? Right. And so it's really helpful and instructive studying this stuff because it can't help but apply to the fiction that you write, whether you're writing a short story or a TV script or a video game script or a comic book script or anything, a novel or whatever. Yeah. It just can only make it stronger because some of the cliched sayings are true. And one of them is, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And that's a good example of that. So
you must read a lot then.
Yeah. And I find I read a lot of nonfiction. I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to read more fiction, but I just honestly, having a lot of fun reading nonfiction these days. I
do not read nonfiction.
What?
I do not read nonfiction.
Oh.
Never? I'm all in my comic book. Comic books are the only nonfiction I read. When I read a book, I never read a nonfiction book. If you look in my library, there's basically no nonfiction books in my library. I like history.
It's nonfiction. No, nonfiction is.
I don't read any fiction.
You read any fiction?
I only read nonfiction. Okay. I do not read any fiction books except for my comic books. I do not like.
Oh wait, you only read nonfiction, or you
only read nonfiction? I love history. I have a degree in classics, and I have an anthropology degree. Oh, okay. I love the history of things.
Yeah.
And that's, one of the things about comic books. I love the history of comic books. It's one of my favorites.
No, me too. No,
I think it's one of those things where I'm always like delving in a lot of my work, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. I'm always delving into like what's the origin story behind things.
Same here.
What's the origin, even if it's a fictional world that I'm helping to create for a video game, is what is the origin story behind this character? Where did this character reach their breaking point? If it's like a villainous character, an anti-hero or something, like what was the worst day of this character's life? And it comes from that same need, I think, when I was a kid, when I was reading one of my first comic book memories was I was on a trip. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. I was on a trip to New York with my parents. I think it's my dad who's an architect. I think he was going to an architecture conference in New York or something like that. And we were walking around New York, and I bought an issue of Batman, and it was an issue of Batman where and I was like 7 or 8 years old, maybe 9. And this shows you how naive I was as a kid. But I think this is true of a lot of kids, of like their naivete about these things, is that the issue of Batman that I read retold the Riddler's origin story. But to me, I thought it was the first time they were telling that story. I was like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. I like, they're finally telling the origin, the Riddler's origin story. And I've got it. I've got the comic where they tell the origin, this is going to be worth so much money. And of course, it was like the 80th time they were telling that story. But I didn't know. I was a kid. Right. It was exciting.
Right.
But it was exciting to just learn that. Right. You know what I mean? To learn that, because I knew the Riddler as this character that you'd see on like different like DC branded animated cartoons. And the guy with the question marks all over his suit. Like what's his deal? What's his story? And like now is finding it out. And so I think it's that same drive that helps me create some of these fictional worlds, and it's that same drive that I'm saying that the drive that made me want to know the Riddler's origin story is the same drive that makes me want to write a lot of these nonfiction books and find out, I wonder what this person's, how did Taylor Swift become this billionaire pop star, and this like really great songwriter and everything. Yeah. And because that's the other thing in writing a lot of these nonfiction books, specifically like the 96 Facts series, I always find one of the first things I try to establish is try to get sort of like a keyhole into the world of this character, of this person, because you're treating them almost like a fictional character. You're saying like, what are the basics of this person if you strip them down to like the basic building blocks? And what's my keyhole into the world of this character? With Taylor Swift, it was her work as a songwriter. I found that I really respected her as a songwriter. And so I was like, okay, I understand that, I get that, I can relate to, because I'm a writer myself, and also I've done some work as a songwriter as well professionally. This isn't exactly the same thing. I'm not going to claim that it's the same thing as writing a Grammy-winning pop song. Yeah. But for a couple of the TV shows that I've written for, I've written songs, and in the past they often got cut from the final draft of the script. But when I was working on this show called Hey Fuzzy Yellow, which was a preschool animated series it's not available in the US yet, but it's available like all over Central and South America and all over Europe right now. I wrote 2 episodes, and for those 2 episodes, I got to write the scripts as well as song lyrics. And the song lyrics stayed in the final cut, so I now have written 3 songs for that show. Cool. Two in one episode and one song in the other. And yeah, and it was a really good feeling writing that stuff, and it makes you want to do more of it, which I've done for other things. Again, I used to be a staff writer on this comedy show for adults, this live action show called World's Dumbest, and for some of the comedies
I watch that all the time.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's one of my I'm not really paying attention kind of I'm a big wrestling fan, so I like things that are just like I don't have to think about, because I think way too much in the course of my day. And World's Dumbest we love World Dumbest in my house. I've watched many of those episodes.
You learn not to be too sensitive when stuff gets cut, because that's what happens. And that's again, I'm not saying the show is the same thing as Saturday Night Live, but there are parallels. Yeah. And one of the parallels is that if you write a sketch or a comedy bit or a joke or whatever, it might get cut. There are so many, I think Tina Fey has talked about this when she worked on SNL, that there are like 7 or 8 chances for every sketch to get cut.
Yeah.
There's like the initial pitch meeting, and then there's the various drafts of the script, and then there's the dress rehearsal, and then there's the final, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was very similar with World's Dumbest, and we had this one where there was the premise of the show. For those who don't, I'm just saying I know you know.
Sure, I know. Have you ever watched it?
Also, Brian, you ever? Okay, so let me explain. The show is people would send us video clips of themselves or their friends doing stupid things, and we would write comedy sketches and jokes making fun of the clips.
And it'd be celebrities there.
Yeah. We had a revolving cast of like 12 or 15 different cast members.
Tanya Harding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
But bunch of comedians, a group of comedians.
Yeah, and various, right. A lot of stand-up comics.
Yeah.
And so we would write these sketches, and sometimes they might get cut. They might get cut at various points. If we got the network notes and the network didn't like a sketch or felt that it didn't have a place in the episode, we would have to cut it. You know what I mean? We could push back on it, but you might lose that battle. You have to be prepared to lose that battle. So like we found this clip of these 2 Russian women who were drunk, like so drunk, and they were trying to like navigate their way across the road that had been covered with ice, and they kept so we wrote like a little opera about them. It was me and 2 other of the writers. It was Jamie Hughes and Jeremiah Leibowitz. I think it was the 3 of us. And the producer of that episode was Pat Twist, like hired an opera singer from one of the big opera companies in New York to sing the opera. And so it was exciting. We were like, and she was not a cast member, so we, this was like an extra expense. And so we were excited because, there's going to be this great opera that we all wrote. It was only like a little 3 or 4 minute sketch and a 3 or 4 minute song, and it wasn't like a full blown opera, but it was funny, and eventually it got cut. And it was really a shame, because we recorded this whole thing, and it sounded great, but that happens, you know, and you have to like roll with the punches and be okay with it. And I didn't get this one. Maybe I'll get the next one.
That has to be tough, especially if you're proud of it. Yeah, that has to be the toughest part. I'm gonna start cutting your sketches.
Okay,
I think you may be the hardest working person we've ever had on the show.
Possibly.
You
I don't
do
know
more-
about that. There's certain other people in
Not that we've had on.
Not that we've interviewed.
Not that we've been. I don't know who you might be referring to, but you seem to do everything that possibly you could do in terms of writing. And I don't. My question is, I don't understand. I also in talking to you for this long on this interview. Why were you walking around New York Comic Con? You should have had a table at New York Comic Con. You should be.
I thought about it, and there were certain friends like Danny Fingeroth who were like, you want to go have these on a table. And I thought about doing that, but the thing is, I wanted to try and get a lot of meetings.
Okay.
And take a lot of meetings at Comic Con, and I didn't want to. Let's say if I'd had a table with Danny, I did not want to leave him in the lurch because my meeting's running late. I'm not pulling my weight in with the table. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to be a bad friend.
Have you ever done it? Have you ever set up at a convention or no?
A couple times.
Okay.
Yeah. But not in a very long time. Really just once or twice. But and I thought about it, but it depends whether it makes sense to do it at that particular time, and also, and again, I was just trying to line up some more work for myself, so I wanted to try and get as many meetings as possible, especially since it's shortly before the winter holidays and everything, and it's everyone's in the same room, so to speak, at this giant.
Yeah, we did a lot of that at this.
Yeah, a lot of talking.
We did a lot of talking to people, and we got a lot of interviews from our time there. But definitely. This has been Ari. This has been fantastic.
Yeah,
this has been great.
Before we wrap things up, where can people find you online?
Oh, okay. Well, there's my website, which is ariekaplan.com. And that's ARIEKAPLAN.com. As a woman, when I was single, I dated a woman who called me the silent E because there's a silent E at the end of my name. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And so it's ariekaplan.com is the website. Let's see, I'm at Arie Kaplan on Facebook, not on Twitter anymore because of something that happened 3 years ago.
Okay.
They just say something that involved a new ownership and then them changing their name to X.
Yeah, we are not on Twitter either.
Yes.
Nope.
No. And let's see, on Instagram I think I'm at Arie Kaplan Writer on Instagram, I believe. And Blue Sky, I don't remember what the exact nomenclature.
We have a Blue Sky account. Don't say we have to look at it. We do. We don't have to post it, man.
I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Threads, and I think is it Arie Kaplan Writer on Threads or is it Arie Kaplan? I don't remember right now. That's bad of me, but we'll
look it up. We'll look it up and we'll put the links will be in the description for Arie Kaplan. Go buy his books. Keep an eye out for the Dr. Doom book. Day of Doom. Definitely buy the Fantastic Four one. That was awesome. And if you're a Taylor Swift fan, how did you not buy it yet?
Yeah, or Beyonce.
How did you not buy them yet? But you are welcome back to come on our show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for giving us this time.
It is an open invitation for you to come back to our show.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I always have different projects coming out, so always happy to talk more about them. And
absolutely.
And there's a couple of things I can't talk about just yet that are
how that goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, we know.
When you're ready, come back on.
Yeah. No, thank you. And it was also great talking to the two of you at New York Comic Con. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
We had a good time.
But hopefully we catch up with you at the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys going to be at San Diego in July?
We don't travel that far.
No.
Okay.
Not this time.
Maybe down the road.
Maybe a few years from now.
We'll be at
when we're really ready for that.
Yeah. And we
understood. And it is a circus over there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's a little far for us. We will definitely talk. I'll email you after this. That's something I want to, propose to you. So I'll email you today or tomorrow. All right.
He's a married man.
I know, but you know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Ari, for your time. We will definitely have you on again soon.
Okay.
Sure. Yes. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. It was great talking to both of you, and thank you both for having me. I really appreciate it.
Same here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Go buy Ari's books.
Yes, please.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.